I found out my girlfriend faked a miscarriage on a Tuesday afternoon in a CVS parking lot. Not because she confessed. Not because someone told me. But because I saw a pregnancy test in her purse that she'd clearly used to practice her sob story, and the damn thing was still in its packaging with the instructions visible. She'd been pregnant for 6 weeks. She'd been devastated for 3 days. And I'd been an idiot for 5 years. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start where I should have ended things, the very beginning. My name is Lucas Chin, and I met Emma Hartley in the spring of 2018 at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was magnetic. That's the only word for it. She had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room, like your stories were fascinating, like your dreams actually mattered. She laughed at my jokes, even the bad ones. She remembered details from conversations. She asked about my mother's chemotherapy appointments and my younger sister's college applications. Within 3 months, we were inseparable. Within 6, we'd moved in together. Everyone said we were moving too fast, but when you know. Right? Wrong. The first incident happened 4 months into our relationship. Emma called me at 2 in the morning, hysterical. Her father had a heart attack. She was at the hospital. She needed me. I threw on clothes and drove 45 minutes to St. Catherine's Medical Center, my heart pounding the entire way. I'd met her father once. Nice guy, quiet, worked in insurance. I kept imagining Emma losing him, how destroyed she'd be. When I got there, she was in the waiting room, mascara running down her face, clutching her phone. She collapsed into my arms. The doctor came out an hour later with good news. Her father would be fine. Triple bypass surgery, but he'd recover fully. I held her while she cried with relief. I drove her home at dawn. She fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I felt like a hero. Like I'd been there when it mattered. Like this was what love looked like. 2 weeks later, I mentioned to Emma's mother at a family barbecue how relieved I was that her husband had recovered so well. The look of confusion on her face is something I can still see clearly when I close my eyes. Recovered from what? The heart attack. The surgery. She laughed. Actually laughed. Lucas, Tom's never had a heart problem in his life. He runs marathons. I felt my stomach drop. Emma appeared beside us instantly, sliding her arm through mine. Oh Mom, I told you about that scare we had. Remember? Dad had those chest pains and went to the ER, but it turned out to be indigestion. Her mother frowned. I don't remember. You were visiting Aunt Carol. I didn't want to worry you when it turned out to be nothing. She said it so smoothly, so convincingly. Her mother accepted it. I wanted to accept it. Maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe Emma had exaggerated in her panic. People do that, right? Fear makes things seem worse than they are. I pushed it down. Red flag number 1 dismissed. 6 months later, Emma's childhood best friend died in a car accident. She was inconsolable for weeks. She missed work. She couldn't eat. I cooked for her, held her through crying jags, drove her to the funeral in Portland. I met her friend's family, stood beside her at the graveside, watched her throw a rose on the casket. Except 3 years later, that same dead friend commented on Emma's Facebook photo. Miss you, girl. We need to get coffee soon. When I asked about it, Emma had an answer ready. Oh, that's a different Stephanie. Stephanie Martinez. My friend who died was Stephanie Chin. Common name. Except she'd introduced me to the family of Stephanie Martinez. The obituary she'd shown me on her phone was for Stephanie Martinez. The funeral we'd attended was Stephanie Martinez's funeral. I didn't push it. I don't know why. Maybe because questioning it felt like accusing her of something so insane that considering it made me feel insane. Who fakes a friend's death? What kind of person does that? Red flag number 2. Dismissed. The emergencies continued. Her identity was stolen. Could I loan her $1,500 to sort it out? Her grandmother fell and broke her hip. Could I come with her to Cincinnati for the week? Her car was totaled by a hit and run. Could she borrow mine while insurance sorted it out? Every crisis came with evidence. Police reports. Hospital forms. Insurance documents. Photos. She'd show me these things quickly on her phone, never letting me look too closely. And I never questioned it because questioning it meant I didn't trust her. And if I didn't trust her, what were we even doing? I loaned her money. I gave her time. I rearranged my life around her emergencies. My boss started making comments about my reliability. My friends stopped inviting me out because I always had to cancel for whatever Emma was going through. My mother asked me once gently if Emma seemed to have a lot of bad luck. She's just going through a rough patch, I told her. She needs me. My mother didn't push it. But I remember the look on her face. Concern. Pity maybe. The money added up over time. Never huge amounts. 300 here, 600 there, 1,500 for the identity theft, 800 for medical bills when her insurance denied a claim. She always paid me back eventually, some of it anyway. She'd hand me cash, apologize profusely, promise it would never happen again. Until the next crisis. In 5 years, I calculated later, I'd given her roughly $23,000. Some of it came back. Most didn't. But I wasn't keeping track then. You don't keep score with someone you love. That's what I told myself. We got engaged in January of this year. I proposed at the same restaurant where we'd had our first date. I'd saved for months for the ring, nothing crazy but it was nice. She cried. She said yes. She called her mother immediately. I called mine. Everyone was happy. We set the date for October. Her family wanted to host an engagement party in June at her parents' house in the suburbs. Big backyard, 100 guests, catered food. Emma was excited. She spent weeks planning it, showing me color swatches and menu options and playlist ideas. In March, she told me she was pregnant. We were on the couch watching TV when she came out of the bathroom holding a pregnancy test. The positive sign was clear. She was crying, happy tears, she said. Shocked but happy. We weren't exactly trying, but we weren't being careful either. We talked about kids. We wanted them eventually. Maybe this was just eventually coming sooner. I was terrified and thrilled in equal measure. I held her. We stayed up all night talking about names and nurseries and how we'd tell our families. She wanted to wait until the second trimester to announce it publicly, just to be safe. I understood. We'd tell everyone at the engagement party, she said. Perfect timing. She had morning sickness. She was tired all the time. She made me switch out her coffee for decaf and her wine for sparkling cider. She downloaded pregnancy apps and showed me what fruit the baby was the size of each week. It's a blueberry now, she'd say. Then, it's a lime. I went with her to what she said was her first OB appointment. She went in alone, told me the waiting room was too crowded, I'd be more comfortable in the car. She came out 40 minutes later with a grainy ultrasound photo and a prescription for prenatal vitamins. I taped the ultrasound to our refrigerator. I stared at it every morning. Our little Lima bean. Our future. Then came the miscarriage. Emma called me at work on a Thursday afternoon. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. She was bleeding. She was cramping. Something was wrong. She called her doctor. They told her to go to the ER. She was scared. She needed me. I left work immediately. I called my boss from the car, barely explained. I broke speed limits getting to the hospital. Emma was in the ER waiting room, doubled over, her face pale. A nurse took her back quickly. They let me go with her. They ran tests. They did an ultrasound. The doctor came in with the news we were dreading. There was no heartbeat. She'd miscarried. They used the medical term, spontaneous abortion. Emma sobbed. I held her hand. I felt numb. They wanted to do a procedure, a D&C they called it, to make sure everything was cleared out. They scheduled it for the following Monday. Emma was devastated. I was devastated. We went home in silence. She spent the weekend in bed. I brought her food she didn't eat, tea she didn't drink, magazines she didn't read. She just stared at the wall. I didn't know what to say. What do you say? I told her I loved her. I told her we'd get through it. I told her we could try again when she was ready. She nodded but didn't respond. Monday morning, I took the day off work to drive her to the procedure. She was in the bathroom when I realized she'd left her purse on the kitchen counter. Her wallet was hanging out slightly. I pushed it back in and that's when I saw it. A pregnancy test. Still in the packaging. Not a used test. Not an empty box. A sealed and used pregnancy test. I stared at it. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Why would she have an unused pregnancy test? Maybe she bought it recently just to check? But she'd already miscarried. Why would she need to check? I pulled it out. That's when I saw there were 3 tests. All sealed. All unused. And underneath them a folded piece of paper. I opened it. It was the ultrasound photo from her first appointment. Except now, seeing it up close instead of taped to a refrigerator, I could see something I'd missed before. In the bottom corner, in tiny text, Courtesy Image Memorial Women's Health Center, Example Ultrasound 8 weeks. Example ultrasound. My hands started shaking. I heard Emma's footsteps coming down the hall. I shoved everything back in her purse and moved away from it like it was radioactive. Ready? She asked. She looked pale, nervous. Like someone about to have a medical procedure. Or like someone about to get caught in a lie. Actually, I heard myself say, I need to run back home. I forgot to lock the back door. You go ahead and check in. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She frowned. Lucas, I need you. 20 minutes. I promise. I just don't want to worry about it the whole time. She looked like she might argue but finally nodded. Okay. But hurry. I drove her to the hospital. I watched her walk inside. And then I drove straight to Memorial Women's Health Center. I walked up to the reception desk and said I needed to confirm my fiancé's appointment. Emma Hartley. The receptionist checked her computer. I don't see any Emma Hartley in our system. Is she a new patient? She said she had an appointment here 8 weeks ago. For pregnancy confirmation. The receptionist checked again. No, I'm sorry. We have no record of that name. Can you check if she had an appointment scheduled for today? Sir, I've checked. She's not in our system at all. I felt like I was floating outside my body. Okay. Thank you. I sat in my car in that parking lot for 15 minutes, my mind racing. Maybe she went to a different clinic. Maybe I remembered the name wrong. Maybe. No. Example ultrasound. I drove back to the hospital where I dropped Emma off. I went to the ER front desk. I'm trying to find my fiancée, Emma Hartley. She came in for a DNC procedure. The nurse checked her computer. We don't have any procedures scheduled under that name today. Can you check your ER records from last Thursday? She was here for a miscarriage. The nurse's expression shifted to sympathy. Sir, I can't give out patient information without consent. I'm her fiancé. I was here with her. Please. She glanced around, then lowered her voice. I really can't, but if you were here with her, you would have checked in together. You'd have a hospital bracelet. Do you have yours? I didn't. Because we'd never been here. Because there had been no ER visit. Because there had been no miscarriage. Because there had been no pregnancy. I sat in my car outside that hospital for an hour. Then I went home. Emma wasn't there. She texted, procedure done. Staying at my mom's tonight. Need space. Love you. I looked at the ultrasound photo on our refrigerator. I looked at her pregnancy apps on the tablet we shared. I looked at the prenatal vitamin bottle on the bathroom counter. I opened the vitamin bottle. They were children's gummy vitamins. I checked the tablet's browser history. She'd been on pregnancy forums, symptom trackers, baby name sites. She'd also been on a site called How to Fake a Positive Pregnancy Test. I checked our shared insurance portal. No OB appointments. No ER visits. No procedures scheduled. I checked our bank statements. She'd withdrawn $600 3 weeks ago, labeled OB copay. Another $400 labeled ER visit. Another $800 for the DNC. $1,800. For medical procedures that never happened. I sat on our couch until 2 a.m., my mind spinning through 5 years of emergencies and crises and near misses. Her father's heart attack that was indigestion that maybe never happened at all. Her friend's death that maybe wasn't real. Her stolen identity. Her totaled car. Her grandmother's broken hip. I pulled out my laptop and started documenting everything I could remember. Every crisis. Every dollar. Every time she'd shown me a document or a photo or a text message that proved her emergency was real. Then I started investigating. I called Emma's father's office the next morning, pretending to be an insurance agent needing to confirm a hospital visit from 2018. No record. I searched obituaries for every Stephanie Chin and Stephanie Martinez in Portland around the time of the funeral. Nothing matched. I called the police department about the hit and run. No report filed under her name or her license plate. One by one I checked every emergency. And one by one they fell apart. The identity theft? She'd shown me a police report. I drove to the station. They had no record of any report filed by Emma Hartley. I described the report I'd seen. The officer explained that what she'd shown me looked like a template anyone could download online. Her grandmother's broken hip? I'd met the grandmother once at Thanksgiving. I found her on Facebook. She was in Florida, posting photos of herself playing pickleball. No broken hip. Not even a sprain. The car accident? I checked her insurance records through our shared policy. No claims filed. No accident reported. Her car was fine. She'd borrowed mine for 3 weeks because her car supposedly was totaled, but her car had been parked at her mother's house the entire time. Every single emergency was a lie. Every single crisis was manufactured. Every single dollar I'd given her was extracted through emotional manipulation and fabricated evidence. 5 years. $23,000. Countless hours of worry, fear, support, and love. All of it based on lies. I could have confronted her privately. I could have broken up with her quietly. I could have walked away and tried to forget the whole thing. But she'd faked a pregnancy. She'd faked a miscarriage. She'd put me through the emotional devastation of losing a child that never existed. And she'd done it for what? Attention. Money? Control? The engagement party was in 2 weeks. 100 guests. Both our families. All our friends. I decided everyone deserved to know who Emma Hartley really was. I spent those 2 weeks preparing. I made copies of everything. Bank statements with her fraudulent withdrawals. Screenshots of the example ultrasound with its watermark. Records from the hospital and clinic showing she'd never been a patient. The template police report matched against real ones. Photos she'd used to prove emergencies that reverse image searched back to stock photo sites. I compiled it all into a presentation. 30 slides. Chronological. Undeniable. Emma came home after 3 days at her mother's. She was subdued, sad. She let me hold her. She cried about the baby we'd lost. I said nothing. I played the supportive fiancé. I told her I loved her. I helped her plan the final details of the engagement party. She had no idea what was coming. The party was on a Saturday afternoon in June. Perfect weather. Her parents' backyard looked beautiful. String lights, tables with white cloths, flowers everywhere. Guests started arriving at 2. Emma wore a yellow sundress. She looked happy, radiant. Everyone hugged her, congratulated us, asked about wedding plans. My mother pulled me aside. Are you okay? You seem tense. I'm fine, Mom. Just nervous about the toast. She squeezed my hand. You'll do great. At 4 o'clock, Emma's father clinked his glass for attention. Everyone gathered. He gave a sweet speech about watching Emma grow up, about how happy he was that she'd found me, about how excited they were to officially welcome me to the family. Everyone applauded. Emma's mother went next, telling embarrassing childhood stories that made everyone laugh. Then it was my turn. I stood up. Emma smiled at me, her eyes shining. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the speaker system we'd set up for music. Thank you all for being here, I started. Emma and I have been together for 5 years. 5 incredible years. And I wanted to take this opportunity to share some of our most memorable moments together. Emma's smile widened. A few people awed. I clicked to the first slide on the TV screen we'd set up for the slideshow Emma had planned for later. Instead of engagement photos, the screen showed a timeline. April 2018. 4 months into our relationship. Emma's father had a heart attack. Except he didn't. The murmur started immediately. Emma's smile faltered. Her father looked confused. I clicked to the next slide. Hospital records showing no admission for Thomas Hartley. A photo of Emma's evidence. The document she'd shown me quickly on her phone, now revealed as a template downloaded from the internet. September 2018. Emma's best friend Stephanie died in a car accident. Except she didn't. Next slide. The obituary for Stephanie Martinez. Then a screenshot of the very alive Stephanie Martinez's Facebook comment from last year. Emma stood up. Lucas, what are you? Sit down, Emma. My voice was cold. She sat. I continued through every crisis. Every emergency. Every lie. The room was dead silent except for my voice and the click of slides advancing. Emma's mother had her hand over her mouth. Her father's face was turning red. Guests looked horrified, fascinated, unable to look away. Then I got to the pregnancy. March 2025. Emma told me she was pregnant. She showed me a positive test. She had morning sickness. Fatigue. We went to doctor's appointments. We picked out baby names. We were going to announce it today, actually. A baby and an engagement. Perfect, right? I clicked to the ultrasound photo. Zoomed in on the watermark. Example ultrasound. Downloaded from a medical website. Never taken of any real baby. Emma was crying now. Lucas, please? May 2025. Emma had a miscarriage. Except she didn't. Because she was never pregnant. I showed the hospital records. No ER visit. No patient named Emma Hartley. No procedure scheduled. The unopened pregnancy tests in her purse. The children's gummy vitamins she'd pretended were prenatal supplements. She put me through the grief of losing a child that never existed. And before you think this was some kind of mental health crisis, some delusion she actually believed, I clicked to the bank statements. She withdrew $1,800 for fake medical procedures. She knew exactly what she was doing. I looked at Emma. Mascara running down her face. Hands shaking. Eyes wild. 5 years. $23,000. Countless emotional manipulations. All documented here. I pulled out a flash drive. I have copies for anyone who wants them. The police will definitely get one. I'm sure they'll be interested in the fraud. Emma's father stood up. Get out. Get out of my house. He was talking to me, but Emma stood up and ran. Just bolted through the side gate and disappeared. Her mother went after her. The party dissolved into chaos. Some people left immediately. Others crowded around me asking questions, wanting to see the evidence. Emma's father demanded I leave. I did. But not before I handed flash drives to several people, including Emma's brother and two of her cousins. My mother followed me out. In the car, she just held my hand. I'm proud of you, she said quietly. That took courage. I felt numb. Did I do the right thing? Yes, you did. The fallout was immediate and severe. Emma called me 247 times in the next 3 days. I didn't answer. She texted me novels. Apologies, explanations, justifications, threats, promises. I didn't respond. Her family called too. Her mother, crying, saying Emma was going through something and needed help. Her father, angry, threatening to sue me for defamation. Her brother, confused, asking if it was all true. I forwarded the evidence. I let it speak for itself. 3 days after the party, Emma showed up at our apartment. I changed the locks. She pounded on the door for 20 minutes, screaming that I'd ruined her life, that I'd humiliated her, that she loved me, that she was sorry, that we could fix this. I called the police. They removed her. I filed for a restraining order. Her friends started commenting online. Some defended her, claiming I was a bitter ex making things up. Others went silent, presumably because they'd seen the evidence and had their own Emma stories to reconsider. I found a few. Turns out Emma had borrowed money from several friends over the years for various emergencies. None of them had been paid back. None of them had thought to compare notes until now. The police did investigate. Turns out financial fraud through emotional manipulation is complicated to prosecute, especially when some of the money was given willingly as loans. But the fake medical documents, the fraudulent claims, those were crimes. Last I heard, they were building a case. Emma's social media went dark. Mutual friends said she'd moved back in with her parents. Someone told me she'd started therapy. I don't know if that's true. I don't care. I'm in therapy too. Turns out being manipulated for 5 years does a number on your ability to trust people, trust yourself, trust your own perception of reality. My therapist says I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. She says what Emma did has a name, factitious disorder imposed on another, or pathological lying, or maybe just narcissistic manipulation. The labels don't really matter. What matters is that it's over. I'm still in our apartment. Emma's stuff is in storage. She has 30 days to collect it or I'm donating it. Her ring is in a drawer somewhere. I can't bring myself to pawn it yet. Maybe eventually. My friends have rallied around me. The ones who are left anyway. Turns out I'd pushed away a lot of people over the years, always canceling plans for Emma's crises, always choosing her over them. They're willing to forgive me. I'm working on forgiving myself. My mother keeps asking if I'm okay. I tell her I am. Sometimes I even believe it. The truth is I'm angry. I'm angry at Emma for what she did. I'm angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. I'm angry that I wasted 5 years on someone who saw me as a mark, a resource, a supporting character in her drama. But I'm also relieved. Because it's over. Because I know the truth. Because I'm free. Someone asked me recently if I regretted exposing her publicly. If I thought it was too harsh, too cruel, too vindictive. I don't regret it. She faked a pregnancy. She faked a miscarriage. She put me through the emotional devastation of losing a child. And she did it without remorse, without hesitation, without a second thought. She deserved to be exposed. Her family deserved to know. Our friends deserved to know. Her future victims, and make no mistake, there would have been future victims, deserved to be warned. I didn't humiliate her. I didn't ruin her life. I simply told the truth. She did the rest herself. So if you're listening to this and you're in a relationship with someone who always has an emergency, always has a crisis, always needs something from you, pay attention. Document things. Trust your gut. Don't dismiss those red flags. Because I dismissed them. For 5 years I dismissed them. I told myself I was being supportive, being loyal, being a good partner. But really I was being a target. Don't be like me. Don't wait for the pregnancy test in the CVS parking lot. Don't wait for 5 years and $23,000 and a fake dead baby. Get out at the first red flag. Your future self will thank you. As for me, I'm rebuilding. I'm learning to trust again, slowly. I'm reconnecting with friends and family. I'm seeing my therapist twice a week. I'm taking things one day at a time. And I'm done with emergencies. The next woman I date could have an actual heart attack, and I'd probably still ask to see the hospital wristband. Trauma does that to you. But I'm alive. I'm free. And I'm finally telling my own story instead of living in someone else's fiction. That's worth something. That's worth everything.